Tzu Chi volunteers head to Beirut to carry out aid distribution for the first time after the explosion in August. In our feature report, we take a look at the problems of aging progeria patients and their elderly parents. Selamat datang ke Daya Headline, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. In August this year, there was a large explosion at the port of Beirut, causing severe damage to the city. Recently, Tzu Chi volunteers were finally able to head into the disaster area to carry out aid distribution, helping 429 families. In August, there was a big explosion at the port of Beirut, devastating the locals. Tzu Chi has worked together with the Futowa Islamic Association and finally was able to head into the hardest hit area, Beirut, China, to provide care. Although it has been 4 months since the explosion, but the scene at the port is still a mess. There are many things waiting to be done, and people with sickness and poverty are seen everywhere.
That man is the same age as me, 50 this year. Nobody helped him, and he told me that he has nothing to eat and was hungry. He was sick and needed assistance, but nobody has lent him a helping hand. He said that he was very happy to see the arrival of our volunteers.
Volunteers carried out home visitations from morning till night. Just when they were about to call it a day, they met 3-year-old Noor. Although the volunteers only had a brief encounter with the child, it left a deep impression in their hearts. Noor's picture became the cover photo of the Arabic version of Tzu Chi's monthly magazine. Volunteers also head over to provide her with all the necessary supplies as promised. Looking at the picture of herself on the magazine, Noor was happy yet shy. Volunteers gave the bread to all of her siblings, making them feel blessed and warm. Many food supplies were prepared for 5 distributions held within 2 days. Volunteers from Turkey and Lebanon worked together to distribute the supplies to 429 families. Every family is able to receive a food package of 29 kilograms.
I think that this is a very meaningful event. Volunteers from 2 different countries working together, regardless of race and religion. The most important thing is humanitarianism and brotherhood to support each other.
I've seen many Muslims having peace among themselves, having a big heart, full of love and full of forgiveness. They are also very humane, but today I saw something different. I noticed that Tzu Chi is a very unique and also a very excellent organization.
During the distribution, the locals heard that Tzu Chi is also assisting the typhoon-affected residents in the Philippines. All of them also donated into the Bamboo Coin Bank.
When we were raising love for the Philippines, I saw a man asking the person beside him if he could borrow some money so that he can donate too.
On the other hand, Noor was holding onto a 10,000 Lebanese pound note, which is equivalent to $1.2 US. This is half of a father's daily salary, and they donated all into the Bamboo Coin Bank.
Lebanon is a country known for emphasizing humanitarianism and brotherhood in the Middle East, providing assistance to others whenever necessary. Just like Tzu Chi's ideal, helping others regardless of race and religion.
In Kelantan, Malaysia, volunteers are still working on making PPEs for the frontline medical workers. Volunteers have completed 600 sets of PPE, helping over 100 people.
We are sad to hear that our country is facing the 3rd wave of COVID infection. Now, Feng Hui need help with sewing of PPE for frontliners, so we offered to take 5 rolls of cloth to sew. It is our responsibility to help do our part for the country. We are very happy that many volunteers of different ages, they are willing to come to help us.
Rolls of PPE fabric arrive in Kelantan as Tzu Chi volunteers hurry to cut the pattern. Though it's nighttime, this food processing factory is still filled with people working.
This time is more challenging because everyone is working, and so we only can do after working hours.
Actually, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are our recycling days, so we are here on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night alongside the recycling volunteers working on PPEs.
With the experience from the last wave, volunteers are more familiar with the working process. Many volunteers who didn't participate last time took the opportunity to involve themselves this time.
The master says, as for the things we must do them.
We hope to ease the frontline workers' minds so that they may put their efforts into taking care of the patients. We need to put our efforts in to help the healthcare workers.
Nearly 100 volunteers from Kelantan participated in this session of PPE making and successfully completed about 600 sets.
We're thankful for them. We sent them 5 rolls and they cut the pattern themselves and sewed it together before returning the prepared sets to us so we may help the others who may need it more.
Coming together to support and help those in need is the spirit of Tzu Chi volunteers, as we all do our part to prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
In Sabah, Malaysia, there are many stateless residents. Due to the pandemic, their lives have become even more difficult. Tzu Chi volunteers went to Datu Kampung Panji to distribute food to more than 180 households.
Stepping on a shaky wooden bridge, Tzu Chi volunteers are walking carefully into Datu Kampung Panji located in Sabah. Affected by the pandemic, there are a group of stateless people who are going hungry living in Datu Kampung Panji. Tzu Chi volunteers pay home visitations, preparing for the upcoming aid distribution. On the distribution day, volunteers follow the epidemic prevention SOP. Police Frontier Reserve Corps were also present to help maintain the discipline.
Sukarelawan Tzu Chi telah memberikan bekalan kecemasan kepada keluarga yang menghadapi tekanan ekonomi.
It rained the day before, so the road is muddy, making it hard for the villagers to walk. Volunteers paved the road with cardboard temporarily.
Thank you very much, thank you.
Bandrai, who is a pillar of the family, lives by fishing. The family of 6 was affected by the pandemic.
I got the supplies. We have food to eat and I feel more at ease. Thank you so much.
Our life is really harsh. The assistance from the non-government organization can lessen our burden. After all, my husband doesn't have much income.
Nina's living condition is simple. There is no kitchen in her home. She can only cook the rice just received outside her house by burning wood.
We have no other dishes, just the rice and soy sauce. I have not eaten anything for 2 days already. Sometimes I don't have food to eat for the whole day.
Dansani usually lives by scavenging to earn a meager income. The place where he lives is piled with recyclables. It is about 5 square meters in size only, and the roof leaks when it rains.
I hope Tzu Chi can help me fix my house. If it rains, I can only hide in here to sleep.
This time, the distribution benefited more than 180 households. Volunteers uphold the spirit of great love, providing timely assistance to the suffering people. They will continue to care for the villagers in the future.
In China, Tzu Chi volunteers are preparing to send winter warmth to the local residents in Laiyuan. A day before the distribution, 26 volunteers head over to inspect the supplies, ensuring that they are of the best qualities. A day before sending warmth during winter in Laiyuan, 26 Tzu Chi volunteers from Beijing head out on their journey at night and arrive at their destination at the break of dawn.
伞的还有一点儿。
哎，称呢？称呢？
还要称一下哈。
多少
？4.985。
4.985，来再拿一袋。
2米1.1米8。1.8米8。对。
As for the cotton filling inside, a professional was at scene to inspect their quality.
如果太白了也不行，因为有点黑点儿，这是最好的。其实。
这是正常的。
There are over 10 different items prepared to be distributed for the local residents. All of them were shipped from the city and are of the highest quality. Tzu Chi volunteers plan to distribute these items at 3 different locations this year. No matter how far or difficult the journey is, volunteers head over and inspect each supply in detail, understanding the delivery process while also assisting with the transportation. During the pandemic, they must be mindful about gatherings, but their main objective is to send love and warmth into the hearts of the local people. In Taiwan, there are more than 78,000 people over the age of 45 who suffer from progeria. This requires intensive care, which is usually carried out by aging parents, which can be a tremendous strain both physically and financially. Follow a report as we learn more.
这个照片是谁？什么？是你啊？你刚出生的时候啊？
Meningitis more than 50 years ago took away most of Afang's intelligence and also took away her mother's youth.
We have been together ever since she was born.
Mother has been a caregiver for a long time, and her body continued to age because she is now 82 years old. In fact, there are many uncomfortable places on her body. She feels that she will not be able to take care of Afang in the future.
Afang is 26 years younger than her mother, but her movements are equally slow. When the mother and daughter go out together, many mistake them for sisters.
Some of them have endocrine disorders and may begin to age between ages of 35 and 45. For example, if they cannot measure distance, they can fall.
These people will gradually weaken and may have many different diseases.
Intellectual impairment, whether it is congenital like Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, autism, or acquired disease or accidental injury such as brain injury and cerebral palsy, are sometimes classified in a special group. Their age is at least 20 years different than an average person. As a result, those in their 30s or 40s are already aging.
Taking care of these old individuals is much like taking care of a 3-year-old child at home. It is true for an old parent that taking care of them can be really exhausting.
Taiwanese society has actually discovered in the last 20 to 30 years that there are actually families where two generations are aging similarly because of intellectual disabilities.
For children with physical and mental disabilities, some 50% of main caregivers and parents suffer from depression, while 30% have suicidal tendencies.
If I'm here, I want to support and care for her, but I fear this may not be possible in the future.
In families with 2 generations aging, elders in the family cannot care for the disabled, but if they face financial difficulties, causing them to fall into a poorer state.
Her mother has a house under her name and cannot apply as a low-income household. Even if institutions have a bed, Afang's monthly costs will still be borne by the family.
If Afang's monthly costs are around $100 a month, this is something that I can't afford.
The subsidies for these individuals are given only if they meet the qualifications for low-income families. Generally, families do not meet such qualifications.
Unable to afford the cost of an institution for a long time, this elderly mother keeps working and carries on. Fortunately, Afang shares in some of the housework.
Afang also washes clothes by herself and assists her mother to dry her clothes. Mom is actually a little dependent on her, as both of them have a type of codependence.
This mother and daughter have trouble in daily life, but fortunately there's government and food delivery service. At noon and in the evening, there's a box meal delivered and both of them share it. Working together to overcome their limitations, this mother and daughter pair are counting down the days and simply waiting for time to pass. Statistics show that there are more than 102,000 people with intellectual disabilities in Taiwan. Among them, there are more than 78,000 people are over 45 years old, accounting for 77% of the aging group with disabilities. In other words, the majority of the aging elderly has fallen into this dilemma. The daughter's filial piety has become a reward for her mother's life.
It is possible that less than 10% of the elderly with mental disabilities actually receive institutional care, as most are still with their families. While the family members of this group of people are gone, they may have to live unattended.
How to care for this aging population of those with mental disabilities is not only the responsibility of parents, but also the top priority for all citizens.
In Hunan, China, Tzu Chi volunteers invited nearly 30 calligraphers to compose spring couplets to be given to the recipients of the upcoming winter events. Take a look.
Borrowing a vegetarian restaurant near 30 calligraphers are creating works of art.
It's very cold outside right now, but inside it is filled with warmth. We see the Tzu Chi team has invited about 20 calligraphers who are all working away creating spring cripples.
Xu Jintao, who is 83, is the oldest invited calligrapher. Sun Taiping, who has been to Taiwan before, wants to infuse the couplets with Tzu Chi's spirit.
When I went to Taiwan, I saw the volunteers wear their qipao. I thought that was the most beautiful qipao in the world.
Before the year-end celebrations, Changsha Tzu Chi volunteers invited a few calligraphers to contribute their talents. Knowing their artwork will be going to impoverished families and helping to celebrate the new year, the calligraphers added some extra touches to their works.
We're just doing our small part to help. Tzu Chi's great love is not easy to give. We're just a small part of it.
It is hoped with these couplets in hand, the recipients will enjoy a good start to the new year.
As Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremonies are held in different communities, volunteers in central Taiwan are making blessings and wisdom bags and also red envelopes for the participants. Here's more.
Before the Tzu Chi year-end blessing ceremonies, the volunteers receive a task to make a blessing and wisdom bags. First is to sew over the edge of cloth and then go to the next step. The work is divided into steps. After the bag is folded and sewn, small triangles are also folded at the corners of the bag, which is 1 centimeter in size.
With this fineness in it, it feels different. It's not easy to sew, but we still insist on putting it in 1 centimeter size.
This year, blessing and wisdom bags have changed their style and select fabric materials which can be reused continuously.
On the back, there's Master Jing Si Efferson that is sincerely repenting and taking the vegetarian pledge, which makes us more compassionate.
The red envelopes of the blessing and wisdom are also being made. This male volunteer is the highlight spot in the group, and the more he does, the easier the task.
If I stick the paste too slowly, it won't stick because it's dried out, so we still have to be diligent when doing things.
The elderly might have the poor eyesight. This small table lamp recycled from the recycling station just came in handy.
The characters are also so small. The light is weak and it looks clear if it's close to the light.
Everyone works with one heart to make these gifts for the attendees of the Tzu Chi year-end blessing ceremonies.
In the Philippines, a fire broke out in Quezon City in November, destroying many houses. Tzu Chi volunteers head over to distribute daily supplies and provided care to the affected residents. As the local residents carry the materials through the narrow alleyway, one can see the walls of the houses being scorched black, and the community have been devastated by the fire.
The houses there are built very close to each other, and the alley is very narrow. This is why when the fire broke out, they had trouble evacuating, and what they managed to take from their home is all they have right now.
A fire broke out at Barangay Sauyo in November due to a short circuit, and it completely destroyed the houses of the local residents. As the residents shed their tears, the volunteers felt their pain. Using a bucket to replace a carrier bag, the daily supplies were placed inside and handed to the affected residents.
I'm very grateful that Tzu Chi has provided so much assistance. Since I started serving this area, I got to know Tzu Chi. Tzu Chi has also been planning long-term assistance for our barangay. I'm very thankful.
Although the affected residents do not have much to give, but they have a heart to help another. Every little donation collected is full of love from these residents.
Although we're affected residents, but we would also like to share what we have. We are still able to help others in need.
The cycle of kindness continues as the residents help one another, enabling the smoother path in rebuilding their homes. Also in the Philippines, after Tzu Chi volunteers have finished up the voucher distribution for typhoon victims, the recipients are able to exchange the voucher for cash at 2 participating banks. Take a look.
Under the scorching sun, the queue of people is near 1 kilometer long. The people are waiting for the bank to open so they can redeem their Tzu Chi voucher for cash.
Honestly, with this many people, it is hard to control, and we know that they are in a hurry to receive the money, so they haven't been keeping to social distancing. Thus, Tzu Chi volunteers are here to remind them of the safety measures.
Although it is the weekend, the two banks Tzu Chi is working with are open, with some branches even adding extra staff.
We are very grateful with the Buddhist Foundation.
We are very grateful to Tzu Chi Foundation for this event, for giving them money and helping them to rebuild their homes and get back to normal. We are here, in a way, to help them restart their lives over.
One way of helping also that mga tao to service them.
The Master has asked Tzu Chi volunteers globally to help the Philippines, and today we can clearly see the cash is helping the disaster victims. They are so happy to receive this cash.
After exchanging their cash vouchers for bills, the disaster victims do not feel helpless anymore.
When I saw how much money I was able to receive, I was so ecstatic that I nearly cried. My house was severely flooded, and now I can make the necessary repairs, so we have a roof over our heads.
Tzu Chi's financial assistance is very meaningful to me because I don't make a lot of money from my job. It's only enough to make ends meet for my family. With this cash in hand, I can begin rebuilding our home.
It's been about a month of uncertainty for these residents, and with the money in hand, their uncertainty has been turned into hope and encouragement for the future.
In China's Fujian, there was a couple who insisted on hosting a vegetarian wedding banquet. They were met with opposition in the beginning, but thankfully, everything turned out well in the end. Take a look.
This is such an auspicious wedding banquet, but during the planning stage, there was a large hurdle to overcome.
Due to the pandemic this year, I was insistent on having a vegetarian wedding banquet. So I continued to encourage my family to the idea.
I opposed it at the beginning, but then I began eating vegetarian food and felt it was a good idea. The guests seemed to enjoy it as well.
I thought maybe not a lot of people would come, but it seemed like everyone was very satisfied with the dishes tonight.
This vegetarian banquet is setting a new trend in the farming village.
Everyone's different, and especially in the farming village, people talk. It takes a lot of courage for them to have this type of banquet. I wish everyone would send their blessings to them.
像一种新时尚一样，然后让我们感觉耳目一新，然后吃的也很开心。比那些大鱼大肉很好吃，比两百副汉堡很好吃。众生都来保护这个地球。
We want all sentient beings to protect this planet. This is key.
The newlywed is united in their goal of vegetarianism, and on their happiest day ever, they are adding to the blessings of everyone.
In Kaohsiung, a stem cell registry drive was held with many of the participants being family members of the former donors or receivers. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.